Today we're going to put in a rev-a-shelf. Rev-a-shelf is one brand name. I think there are others. But basically it's a wire basket shelf. This is a 2 tiers. And it makes it more convenient when you have a cabinet and there's just a fixed shelf. You have to, it's down there at my knees. It's hard to see in there. It's dark. It's deep, you can't reach it, and to get on the bottom shelf, it's just really hard to get things in and out. For us, it ended up being wasted space. Now, normally, I would make something. In the house we lived in before, I made these shelves, or something to fit, because it didn't seem like these were ever the right size, or it didn't work for us. They're too narrow, they're too low, they weren't deep enough, too deep. And they're also kind of expensive. These are, $150 a piece. But in this house, it turns out that the cabinetry is more or less standard. And the first one was given to us because it was left over by someone else in their house. And I figured, I'll try it. Wow, it went in so quick and so easy. There were some problems though, and that's why I'm making this video. When I ordered the next 3, I'm retrofitting now to 3 other cabinets. You have to be careful on your measurements. They give you a guide. We ordered these online, and they give you a bit of a guide on how to order them. They go by the opening of your cabinet, and I'll show you that in a minute. But there's a lot more things you need to know. And then it also, for us, it has to vary from the instructions. It has to do with the hinges. There's an opening, but then the hinge takes up some of that opening. And in our case, this is an 18-inch wide by 22-inch deep. This can be adjusted in height. And we needed to have a certain depth, but these actually have to be set deeper than the instructions would have you do. And that's because of the hinges. You need to get to those hinges on the inside to take the doors off or put them on. And so you can't really put them on, in our case, like the instructions say. So we needed to have, the cabinets had to be deeper than these. The other thing was the width-wise. We have an 18-inch wide cabinet, but the hinges take up 1 inch of that. Well, this is still an 18-inch wide basket, and the reason being is because the frame itself takes up some of that room, and you don't need the frame because only the basket comes out. So I'm able to make this work. Then to install it, you need to, these are permanent shelves. They're not put in, temporarily, or they're not adjustable. The shelves were actually fixed in place. And, to take them out, you need some tools. So I'll show you how to do that too. So what I have here is an 18 by 22 inch basket, 2-tier. This top shelf can be adjusted so that the top part here can be at 16 inches at the lowest setting. There's some screws here. The middle setting is 17.5 inch to here, and the top is 19 inch. The opening that I have is a 21 inch, but that's scraping the top if I did that. So I've got this set on the middle setting for us. And if I need to adjust it later, it's really easy to lower this to the lowest setting. And it might be what you need to do too. So here's some of the challenges you need to address. All right, so I'm just sitting on the floor. This is our 18 by 22 inch cabinet. It's 18 inches from this side all the way to this side here. It's 21 inches from here to here. Now that's the opening size, but if you look in these hinges, not only does this hinge protrude about 1 inch, you also have to get to the back of it. Now the way this door is fitted, this door closes even with the outside of this. It stands proud of the actual frame. So really, if this cabinet is 23 inches deep to the inside, but it's 23 3/4 to the outside here, but that's not the measurement you need. You need to have the inside. Anyway, this hinge, you see how long that is? It's about 2.5, 3 inches. And the instructions would have you mount the frame to this inside part here. And you can't really do that. For one thing, you need to get to these parts. If I press this button, the door hinge will actually come off. And for me to put it back on, I need to have access to it because it swings in and out. I'll show you. I'll take the bottom one out first. Here's the top one. Press a button on this case. Some of them have a lever. It swings out and it comes free. You can see there's little hooks here that hook on. And that's what you need to be able to have access to. You hook it on, click it in. It's just a push button. Really easy to take on and off. The door's on now completely. Now if this shelf is removable, this would be a simple matter. I just take the shelf out, I put the basket in, screw it in place. But this thing is fixed. And let me show you how it's fixed. So this shelf is actually inset. I'm poking that up underneath. And what they've done is they've made a relief here. They've cut into the side of the cabinet about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, and that's what's holding the shelf actually. In the back, now the back side is different. If you look down way in the back, I can poke that straight through. And what you can see then is the bottom part of that putty knife sticking out. So that's just on the surface in back, but on both sides, that's actually inset to the sides of the cabinet. To take this shelf out, there's nails holding it in on both sides, so it won't slide out. Even if I could take these frames off, which I'm not going to do, that would be a really horrible thing. You'd have to demolish the carcass to do that. So you have to cut this shelf out. I'm going to use a battery-powered circular saw. And I can only go I can't go all the way to the back corner because this part will hold me back. And I want to reuse this. I got other projects. I want to save this material. So I'm not going to cut right down the middle. I'm going to cut down one side. Well, that did pretty well, but I know from experience that that's still in there. I could bash on the back of that and probably break it, but I might break something I don't want to because I'm going to have to hit that awful hard. So you can use a saw. A hacksaw blade would work. You can use some other kind of saw that they sell, but it's kind of hard, kind of awkward to get to. I've found that these other kind of saws are really handy. These things work really well. Just a vibrating blade. There's these hidden nails, and luckily there's no others there. They didn't leave a mark on the outside, happily. Just a little bit of cleanup now. Now look, this is an 18-inch wide. It just fits. And I have to slide it past these brackets. They say this is an 18-inch wide shelf, but it's actually 17.5 to the outside of these two brackets. So you have to kind of work it in here, and it fits. Now to repeat myself, the instructions would have you mount this right here. You see it's touching here. Well, you see it's hitting the hinge. But that's where they're suggesting the instructions say you put this, but you can't do it because it interferes with all these hinges. So you have to move them all the way back. You have to still leave some room here so that can come out on both sides. On the top, you need to allow room to get your finger in here to take the hinge off. And the bottom is where it's the worst, it's the tightest fit right there. Now I got about a ½ an inch here. And I know also from experience that in the back, I can't set it all the way back. If I do, that hits the back of the cabinet. So I have to come forward. I have to come forward from the back about ¼ inch. And that gives enough room in the back so that these baskets don't hit when you close them. And that still gives, excuse the camera shaking here, that still gives you enough room to get around to the back and get that hinge off of there. All right, I'm just going to push this all the way back, even in there. I'm going to use a tape measure and just measure up forward ¼ inch. That ought to be enough room to clear the back so that they close without interfering with the back of the cabinet. So these slides are in 2 stages. If I pull this one out, that's fine, but then you see you have this second slide right here. See how close that is now? You have to have the second slide's got to have enough room to clear the side of the cabinet. So I've actually got it too close here. I'm going to move it over a bit. Okay, I've just put this screw here and this screw here. If you want to, there's screws there and there to match. And then on the back, there's more places for screws. Those 2 plates in the back, you can see, those slide. They can slide back and they have quite a bit of adjustment available. I'm only going to move them, in this case, about a ½ an inch. And I'll screw them to the back, and that'll just keep this from wiggling back and forth like that. Yeah, those are hard against the back now. A couple more screws and we're done. That's all there is to this. Now we'll just do the fitting of the shelves, put the door back on, and that's done. They're not hitting the back. It's good. Just get my finger in there to pull that off. There, the door can come off. And door can go on. And there's the wire basket shelf retrofit. There might be other manufacturers. They might go in easier than this, might be a little bit harder. Just be careful of your measurements, and it should go in all right. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.